300-pound bench press is great, but if I can't hold a posture or a positioning, then I'm screwed. So then we started to just revamp everything. How can I get this to protect posture and position through accentuating eccentric work? And that's really from there that allowed the further that something displaced away from ideal, the greater cost of energy it was going to be. And so for me, I said, I want to be more efficient. So if I can right, quote unquote, the wrong quicker, I can create a more efficient athlete.
Welcome to the Captains and Coaches podcast. We explore the art and the science of leadership through the lens of athletics and beyond. I'm your host, Tex McQuilkin, and today we are back in Tampa Bay for part 2 of the interview with Raphael Ruiz. If you have not, I highly encourage you to listen to part 1 with this master strength and conditioning coach, and we dive into his origin story and then where I connected and met him to go all in and learn from him as an apprentice. Part 2, I bust out my notebook from that experience. I go through this once a year and just aim to see if there's more lessons that I can pull out. Now I'm 11 years later, I decided to take this practice to him. So I go through a first couple of days of the notebook and ask, what were we thinking here? What was going on? And see if we can dive a little bit deeper live on the podcast. So awesome experience. This one dives a little bit more into the strength and conditioning, but also the neuroscience and then the mindset and science behind accelerated skill acquisition. Raph's the best in the world at that. By far my favorite part of this, I share a day in the life from my apprenticeship from 5 a.m. pre-sunup all the way to beyond sundown every day for 4 months and what that experience entailed. So if you haven't caught it, check out part 1. Part 2, we hit the ground running, and now let's hand it off to Raph to help us raise the game. Ready, and great.
What do you feel the term coaching scars means to you when you hear that?
Coaching what?
Scars.
Like my scars or scars that I caused somebody else?
Well,
Because that's
the reason that they would hold on to Coach Raph's an asshole. Or when you're working with professionals or teenagers or college kids that come in and then they're still holding on to what a coach said, that then now they project onto Coach Raph.
Oh, 100%. I think when I look at that, if the human mind is amazing at efficiency, and it's so much easier to not look in the mirror. And if they can project that on me, then they're going to take that easy route. And we can create so many scars from that just by doing that. I mean, you have one, you can cause huge scars by just blatantly mistrust. When all of a sudden somebody looks at me as liable for an injury that they caused, or I'm liable because I got them to bench press more, but they got their butt handed to them on the field. Like those are all things that you could immediately erode trust. There could be improprieties. You can make some bad ethical decisions that cause a lot of scarring to occur. And those are all things that we all have to live with. But at some point in time, the mentoring of that needs to occur. If not, again, we could go back to my old UT days where I have athletes that go, I've never done a dead bug in my life. And that's because I created athletes who would just sit there and listen, but wouldn't make decisions on their own to do it. Hey, that's a great job with this exercise. If you want to do it better, if you want to improve yourself, if you want to level up, I hear all of these coaching cues that the coaches use on the field. Well, I try to do the same thing. I listen to those and I try to bring them in the weight room. So I'll hear somebody go, hey, level up. And then, I'll bring it into the weight room and I'll say, hey, if you want to level up, choose to do it this way. Hey, your knee is a little bit bent. If you want to level up, try to get a little bit straighter, because that'll lead to maybe you not getting thrown out trying to steal seconds. Oh, okay, coach. And then they make that harder choice and then it hurts. But coach, it hurts. Awesome. And it's one of those things that it's this weird tiptoeing balance where Zia's running and she falls. the normal person will run over and go, oh my God, are you okay? And pick her up. What I do now, safe. And that's what I say. And she'll go, yeah. And you know, she's bleeding and there's abrasions. And I go, safe, you did it, girl. And I'll pick her up and I'm like, you won, you won. And then so now all of a sudden she does it. So she'll run over and she'll go, look at this boo-boo I got, Dad. And I'm like, great job, girl. And so just changing that culture of how they approach discomfort.
Mhm.
Nowadays, I mean, half of these kids, if they get hurt, it's the end of the world. I'm going home, I'm done. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you smashed your finger on the dumbbell rack. Okay, like, go, keep going. But no, they'll call their mom, they'll text, and then they'll leave. Um, because somewhere down the road, we've failed them into mentoring that discomfort is okay.
Mhm.
It's okay. You need that. And to the point where not only is it okay, but you have to crave it. You have to want it. And when you talk about developing that sense of urgency, that is a magic formula that a lot of athletes don't understand at this age. Is to say, it's not enough to say it's okay. You have to want to eat it. You have to choose to swallow that jagged pill. And if you don't, then you're never going to get above a B. It's never going to happen. You're always going to be like, hey, I'm here average. I might do pretty good here, but you're never going to do anything magical. And in order to do something magical, you really have to go, the more discomfort I eat, the more magic I become.
Mhm.
And if you don't do that, I'm always going to be right here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's in line with the challenge. I was stepping into this private school where the seniors, they had a certain way for a long period of time, and then I was aiming and challenging them because just watching them get creative and play, I'm like, dude, we got some guys that know ball.
mhm.
And then now all of a sudden when discipline enters into the picture, and then I frame discipline not as punishment. It's giving you tools to make responsible decisions on and off the field. That's how I would define discipline versus, pressing my thumb down on these dudes.
Mhm.
And then the ultimately, or the response for a handful was they didn't want to try anymore because if they try, then they fail. So why try? And that was heartbreaking for me. And then aiming to try to find ways to communicate, like, this is the rest of your life,
so
dude.
hard.
Yeah.
It is so hard to do.
Is it? Yeah. It was not lacrosse. This is the rest of your life, man.
So when Raiders started this journey, when you look at developing infielders, we had a long talk about developing middle infielders and fielding ground balls. There's a level one that occurs where just stop the ball. You stop the ball and then you pick the ball up and you look for your target and you throw. And then it goes to level two where the guys go, hey, I'm going to field the ball, get into my presentation, and throw. Level three, most people never get there. And we talk about there's not a lot of guys who are true shortstops. Well, that level three is guys field and throw. It just becomes one motion. That's a very difficult thing. Well, the guys who play at the higher level are the guys who the game is so fast against guys like a Chandler Simpson who are running sub 4 to get to first base. The only play that you have is to run and attack the ball, get it on the run, and try to throw them out. Most people will not do that because number one is they don't want the ball to get past them. They don't want to error. They don't want the only play that can be possibly made to get that guy is for you to attack the ball.
Mm-hmm.
When Raiders started this journey, that was an unbelievably difficult thing to teach him because Raider was so afraid of failure. He was afraid of not letting the ball get past him. I don't want to let the ball get past me. And it wasn't until going to Trotsky's, it wasn't until talking to high level guys that they would say, Raider. And we would play wall ball. So he would go and he would try, and we would say, hey, he would make a play back here and he would stop the ball and he would throw and we would give him 0 points. And we would say 0, but I stopped the ball. But I made the throw. I threw it into the bullseye. 0 because that guy was safe.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden we started to label and we started to say, okay, you get the ball out in front, get it out early, that's a point. You get the ball out in front early at that cone, that's 5 points. And next thing you know, he's sitting there and just by saying, running up there, and even if he misses it, great job. That's the right decision. You made the right decision to go get that ball. The only play that you could have made was the one you chose to do. And so that literally took months, months and months of just ingraining it over and over. Great job, but I missed it, Dad. Who cares? Great job, great job. And so now he's at a point where he's boom, 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 and he's making that play. And at 13, at 12 and 13, he was having trouble because he would run up and he wasn't strong enough to make those throws. Now at 13 and 14, he's been doing it. He's bigger, faster, stronger, and now he's making those throws. And so now he goes, the process. So now all of a sudden it was like, oh, okay, I'm okay with this. I'm okay sucking at this because when I'm 15, I'll be making these plays. When I'm 18, I'll be making these plays. When I'm 24, hopefully I'm making the plays that I watched last night.
Yeah, I love it. Gamification, you're rewarding the decision, not the outcome. That's a beautiful analogy. And how can you not feel romantic about baseball, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm starting to think of ways to communicate that through lacrosse speak. Here's something interesting. I had the opportunity to speak with one of the top professional lacrosse players, Jack Hanna. So he plays indoor, outdoor, incredibly creative athlete on the field. And beauty of lacrosse, it's free flowing. And so you get the opportunity to just be a dude. So he also owns a facility in Denver, Lacrosse Den. And one thing he's communicated challenging is when he gets new kids in there that are afraid to fail, they're also looking to him for what to do. So now the challenge, we had a great conversation about this where club ball, travel ball is entered into the sport of lacrosse, where it's not development, they're just playing games. Maybe I get 5 runs in the game, I'm not getting 50 reps that I would at practice kind of thing. So it's almost setting the sport back. And then also during these summer games, the coach gets a pressure because they're a club coach, they're getting paid a check, they have to win. So now they're literally from the sideline, call it joysticking. I'm saying, all right, Raider, you're going to cut. Zia, now set a pick. I'm telling them exactly what to do versus
Correct.
teaching them the principles of a 2-man game or flow of offense. So now within respect to the challenges he's facing, he's trying different games and tricks to just get these guys to understand principles. So now what we did this morning, you were almost just set us up and set us free. We had a great demo with Coach Steph, and then we did our best to execute the demo and then set us free. So in line with movement principles, agnostic of sport, how can you help influence this athletic creativity in line with, hey, just moving, creating a sense of urgency, and let's have some fun out there because we are getting better.
That's it. It's literally, when we teach a skill, we're really good at compartmentalizing that skill. Like, okay, here's a crossover step. Great. So we had that issue with this last group. Here's a crossover step. We're going to work on it for 2 days now. Crossover, pull at the instep, set up your athletic position. And so we do a good job of teaching it one step. That's all I need to see. One step. That's all I want to see. Well, then the moment I said, okay, now we're going to go run a short shuttle. And I purposely don't say anything because I want to see what sticks. Well, first athlete goes, great crossover to start. And then it just turned into poo-poo garbage. And I was just like, hey, what should that one look like? And he was like, I don't know. And I go, should it look like your crossover? He goes, yeah. And I go, well, what about when you change directions there? Yeah. Okay, I got what you're saying. And so in those instances, there is a certain state-dependent learning. One of the things that I've watched with these baseball practices all over the place of all these different teams is we'll go through something as simple as cuts. Hey, know where your cutoffs are. And so these coaches will practice it to nauseum. We're going to work on cutoffs, guys. Cutoffs. Know where your cutoffs are. And then they get so angry because the kids can't do it in a game.
Yeah.
because there's no intermediate in there. There needs to be a situation that because I know what I'm doing because I'm in a drill that's doing it. But now all of a sudden, let's transition it to, okay, let's go scrimmage and then put into a scrimmage where that same ugly monster of cut 3 might show up and it might not. But there's a thorough way there versus just, hey, next Saturday, we'll see you down in Bradenton. And why don't you know where cut 3 is? We worked on it Tuesday. Well, the kid's like, 2 weeks ago on Tuesday. Yeah, we did. But so in this instance, if we create a step A, here's a step C, well, put a B in there
Right.
that says maybe, hey, we just went over that. Oh, okay. And then bam. Okay, hey, look, there it is. What do you do? Cut 3, cut 3. And next thing you know, it's starting to grow a little bit deeper roots because some of the guys can do it in a drill, but the moment you allow that kinetic creativity, they're obviously going to go to what they've habitually done. And until we start to understand that we need to habitually develop those habits, then we're going to fail them constantly as a coach. So my job out here is to develop stronger habits. Can I get you to habitually go with a wider stance? Can I habitually get you to turn your knees in slightly? Can I habitually get you to get better posture? Because and then if I can check all those boxes, then go be creative. And then we do things like, hey, go play wall ball. So like at the end of the complex with some of these baseball groups, I'll say, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Okay, now you have 3 minutes of wall ball. Give me 20 throws. And then and then part of it is I have to walk away because they have to feel like they're not being judged, that they're not being, they'll make fun of each other, they'll rib each other, but it has to be a situation where that they now can drop their walls and go, okay, Raph's not going to yell at me. Okay, my dad's not watching, my mom's not in the stands. Let me just go in free flow. And then what I do is I sit back, and then when I see it happen, great job, Billy. I go, Billy, did you see what you just did? You did the knees in, you did the this, that, and the third, and the scap load. And he's like, did I? I go, yeah, great job. And then next thing you know, his next rep, he's just like, oh, there it is. And he's doing it. And so you just kind of grow that seed. I mean, you plant that seed and then you just keep nurturing it. And then hopefully over time that they just develop a stronger, broader, deeper habit that they carry with them onto the field.
Time out. Let's take a second to talk about the Old Bull training program. This is an online strength and conditioning program that I'm writing for myself and handing to you. I'm a former collegiate athlete, strength and conditioning guinea pig for the last 15 years. I'm feeling every game, I'm feeling every training session and exploratory work that I've been through. Now I take all those lessons and the feeling and the pressure and the corrections, and then I hand it off to you. What I love most about the program and highly encourage people to do is film their lifts, post it into the feed, and then we give them fast feedback to help them correct those lifts. Why I love that, everyone else gets to see those lifts, they see the coaching cues, and they're starting to learn and develop their own coordination and maybe seeing something that someone else is doing that they can feel for. That's the beauty of this program. It's constantly evolving, and we're having fun there. That's also the thing. We're having fun. There's a great leaderboard, and people are finding others to compete with. I love the program. I'm out there doing it with you, and I encourage you to train with me, not for me. For a free trial, 7 days, click the link in the show notes. Try the Old Bull program. And now, back to the show. Ready, and break.
So, yeah, I love it. State-dependent learning. That's one of the key points. I forgot that term. I do want to spend a little time with leadership, and what does the team captain position mean to you?
Do you want to know a really interesting story about state-dependent learning?
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll come back.
So most people don't know this. In prepping Tarver for his fights, what we would do is I would have spearmint gum. And any time that Tarver did really well, I would put spearmint gum in his coach's mouth because his coach notoriously had bad breath. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And he would complain about it all the time. And so when Tarver did awesome, like he was doing a good skill or he was working at a rate we wanted him to, I'd be like, hey, coach, want some gum? And he would take it. And then when he would talk to him, he'd be like, oh, wow. And it would just create the state dependent learning that we would solidify. So when the fight came, I would just, all of us, myself, the cut person, and his coach would all put that gum in our mouth. And so we would sit there and he'd be like coming in at the end of the bing, 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 go to your corner. And we would sit there and I would, put ice and get his mouthpiece and I would just blow, literally just, you're doing great, Robert. And it was just one of those things that you could see. And as we did all of that, we would just constantly work on his box breathing. So
Yeah.
when he would do his box breathing in training, we would have that gum and he'd be like, and it was just, and so that state dependent learning put him into that state. And to me, it really helped over the course of the back half of his career.
Yeah, it's
Gum,
conditioning, Pavlov's version of conditioning.
Yep, that's it. So
I love it.
Yeah.
And then going back to the question, the team captain and in leadership, in a sense, where some kids, they feel, oh, I'm not going to say anything because I'm not team captain. But then, like, you don't necessarily need that C on your chest. So I pose reframing the question, what does it mean to you to be a leader on your team?
To me, it's whoever supports that culture. To me, that truly is. We always say hand in hand, being a leader and a follower. We cycle through. I try to make it a conscious decision to put a different person in charge of every exercise in terms of every complex. I'll say, Harrison, you got this one, especially on our Fun Fridays where we're counting, we're calling things out, we're changing directions. I'll have it scripted on there. So if they're doing a 4-cone drill, I'll have the different letters or the different colors, and I'll tell them you're in charge, just basically like a wide receiver shuttling in plays and be like, okay, Raider, you got this one. Okay, Steph, you're taking this one. Zia, come here. You're going to call. And then she'll go out there and she'll look at the chart and she'll say red, yellow, green. Okay, guys, we're running red, yellow, green. And so being able to, and Raider's terrible at followership, especially if it's somebody that he feels he doesn't, is below his level, which is a natural thing for a kid to do. And what I try to tell them is get better at getting better.
Mm-hmm.
That's a common thing that we always say. You may feel that way because you're training with your sister right now, but at some point in time, you're going to be a senior and there's going to be a freshman on the team. That if you didn't develop the skills of helping that freshman out right now, then you're not going to do it when you're a senior in high school. You're not going to do it when you're a senior in college. And you're sure enough are going to be that selfish guy in the clubhouse who doesn't help out the young rookies. And so getting the athletes to understand that, putting them in roles where they can work on that. We do a lot of team totals. We do a lot of partnered work. To me, a lot of the main resistance stuff that we do is highly beneficial, not from a physiological standpoint. If you could take that away and say the accentuated negative work, okay, that's great, but now you are responsible for the mobility of my IT band.
Mm-hmm.
You are responsible whether or not they do it right. And so I'll purposely walk around and I'll yell at Harrison because Raider sucks at it. I'll yell at Steph because Zia sucks at it. I'll yell at so-and-so, and they start to understand, like, hey, okay, that's my job. My job is to help my teammates. And if we build that as a culture, then, and one of the things, we used to do this at UT, and they hated it, was if anybody was late to the training session, we ran. Didn't matter what it was for. If you had a good reason, if you had a bad reason, the bottom line is every time somebody was late, we had an extra run to do. And I remember we got a lot of pushback from it. Guys were like, I was at the dentist. I was talking to my teacher. And I said, it doesn't matter. And I said, the reason why it doesn't matter is because in a game, the ball doesn't care. The ball doesn't care. And the second reason it doesn't matter is because if you're a good teammate, your teammates will run that for you.
Mm-hmm.
They won't care because if it's a good reason, they will gladly run that run for you. And it sucked at first because people would get mad and they would displace it on me and be angry because I'm an asshole. But then they started to do it. They started to take it on. And it got to the point where they were like, hey, Raph, Jennifer's going to be late. So we're going to have an extra run. And I was like, great job. And to me, it added such a huge token to that community because not only did they say we love Chris and we'll do it for Chris, but Chris was like, thanks guys, I appreciate that. And they really fought, and you could tell that culture was different, that they would go through brick walls for one another. So
yeah, I do enjoy that. Love it. I recall a lot of counting and then just putting the old timer in front of somebody, and they were in charge of that 30 seconds. So we either did 10 seconds, 20 seconds more because they were disappearing, or they were maybe not confident enough yet to say anything. That's more reps. Absolutely. We need you to communicate and speak. And then I had a flashback from my freshman year coach where we were in the gym during a winter snowstorm, and we were just doing indoor conditioning on a basketball court. And then 4 guys that lived in a house together showed up late. He looks at them and he's like, you just everybody. And 90 minutes of just destruction.
Oh, but you got to learn that.
It's ingrained in me.
You know, it's funny. When you look at again, I've learned to take a positive and negative from everything. It can go overboard. We as coaches can get so enthusiastic and we want to turn into these sadomasochists and we want to absolutely just run you till you puke. Got that. But anybody who's ever been in that scenario, you absolutely bond with your teammates. Yep. For stupid reasons. For like, hey, good job. You were an asshole. We had to run. But 20 years later, I still talk to my teammates about, oh my God, remember we had to run in full football uniform with the cross country team? Yep. And we laugh about it. And it was probably, our coach probably should have got arrested at the time of having Texas heat, full football pads, running 5 miles.
Water is weakness.
But I look back and I'm like, God, those were like great memories.
Yeah.
I mean, for whatever reason, they're great memories.
I feel that, and that's why I lean into, so tagline for the captains and coaches is sports don't teach lessons, captains and coaches do. Because there's going to be scenarios outside of a kid's control where they have just a sadistic coach who's got 100%. Baggage. But that's an opportunity for you to develop lifelong friends and bonds. And
that
goes down.
That circles back. I tell Raider all the time, I go, listen, I'm mad because I'm paying for your travel ball. And your coach is making you guys run because Jimmy doesn't want to screw his head on. And he's like, yeah, it sucks. And I go, then do something about it.
Right.
Get Jimmy dialed in so that I'm paying for you to learn how to play baseball, not run around the foul poles. And all of a sudden, he's starting to get it. He's starting to get his coach's voice. He's starting to get his captain's voice of saying, hey, guys, come on. And it's going to be hard for him. I tell him all the time, I go, you're 13 playing with 14, 15-year-olds. It's not like you're the biggest kid out there. I go, you're the littlest kid. You're tall, lanky, you're built like a praying mantis. But I go, they will respect that you're doing what's best for the culture.
Yeah.
Don't stop growing that skill.
Yeah. And then even if he does aim to say something, now it's a reflection point. Mm-hmm. Did the behavior change from his teammate? Yes and no. So now what do? Do you communicate? Do you then reflect? Do you tell coach? Do you then double down, push back? So it's just such a learning opportunity and path that he'll never go down if he doesn't aim to at least try to say something.
And they forget that it's a skill. Mm-hmm. It's a skill. They're like, okay, every once in a while you'll have a Michael Jordan who was born to play basketball, but everybody had to practice. Everybody had, not to say Michael didn't, but my point is not everybody is blessed with top of the charts leadership skill. Everybody has to work on it. No different than power cleaning, no different than shooting a free throw. skill is a skill, and if you don't work on it, it's a perishable skill.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people, they just don't work on it, because again, to circle back around, it's uncomfortable to tell somebody to stop jacking around, because I like jacking around, and I'm getting laughs from my teammates. And who are you to tell me to stop doing something that gives me pleasure?
Yeah.
So,
And then it's a small scale in a controlled environment, and it's one rep. But then when you're now career in life, when you're 24 years old instead of 14 years old, it's the same skill. It just has grander consequences.
well, because what we talk about is, as a young person, they don't have that cognitive ability to think long term. And it's our job as coaches and parents to constantly relay that to them.
Uh-huh.
You're always thinking right here, what's in front of me, and not just from a screen, but they just don't have the capacity to think, hey, think about when you're in college, Raider. He's like, whatever. I'm just trying to figure out what video game I'm going to play next when I get home. So we try to say, okay, from a coach, if you get Harrison to do these three things, he becomes a better hitter. So instead of the game ending because he gets struck out, now you're hitting behind him, you get another at bat, another opportunity for you to do your magic. And now he goes, oh, that's why I should. And I'm like, that's what it all boils down to. You turn a double play. You can't turn a double play by yourself. Well, you can, but in most scenarios, like, you got to throw it. And maybe your throw is slightly off. Well, guess what? You've been working with Harrison on his mobility. So now he plucks that out and he makes you look like an all-star, versus, oh, that was going to be a cool play, Raider, if you would have got that ball down.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's starting to put that together, and coaches, just through verbalizing that, can help the athlete. And just like we talked about, is the long drawn out process through the age of 25, when your brain is developed enough to be able to comprehend that. Well, we don't have to wait till they're 25. We can start now, where they can start to put those pieces of the puzzle together.
Time out. Coach, are you banging your head against the wall trying to motivate athletes who seem mentally soft? You're yelling, they're shutting down. You're punishing, they're checking out. Sound familiar? Here's the thing, the game has changed, but most of the coaching education hasn't caught up yet. They're locked in on teaching programming and not people. In my new course, Why They're Not Listening, Coaching Today's Athlete, you'll learn how to connect with your team and transform disconnected players into captains who perform under pressure. Stop fighting your athletes and start developing them. Go to listen.captainsandcoaches.com to enroll. That's listen.captainsandcoaches.com. Transform your coaching today. Now, back to the show. Ready, and break.
Yeah, I love it. Again, I mentioned reframing discipline. So I'm speaking in NSCA National Conference, and a big thing is presentations called Punishment, Reframing Discipline and Practice.
I love it.
And then the two of the big anchors, one is again, tools to succeed with life's inevitable pain, which there is pain in sport. So then it's long-term gratification, like delaying gratification. So then we can start to teach goals. And so now it's like, okay, well, yes, I do want that. Here's one small action to take now that's going to help grow for your goal. And then the other is just honesty in action, level set on skill set. So if a coach tells you need to work on something and your esteem's too high on yourself, well, then you're going to say, I know better than coach, which odds are you don't, but you may feel you do. Or if your esteem's too low, like, I can't do this, I suck, well, then you're also not going to listen to coach who's trying to bring you up. So that is also in behaviors, to where you're messing around and you don't see the value, or you're looking for a boundary yourself as a kid, and maybe you're pushing back and looking for a boundary from coach, or pushing back on my teammates. Right? Why are bullies? Because they're searching for boundaries, and that's the little guy, and I'm going to push until either he punches me in the face or I find some different modality in there. So aiming to reframe that, and I like those examples you gave there for Raider.
What's interesting is the delaying gratification, because I would say in American culture, we're terrible at it. We are terrible, and we're raising a future generation that is worse than we are. And so it's I foresee, to look at the bad and the good. I foresee bad being, we're going to have a generation of athletes, of people that are way in deficit of their ability to delay gratification. Just that's going to be a completely foreign concept to them. The good is the athletes who do learn that, there is going to be there's going to be a chasm between those who don't and those who do. That is going to be a very difficult thing for them to be able to cross between. They just won't be able to do it. And so I tell Raider, if you could develop that, you're going to look like a magician. There's going to be a huge difference between you and other people who don't have that. And to tag on to that of what we talked about yesterday is, I really foresee in 10 years that baseball is going to be flooded with Japanese players because of their ability to be, their culture of being disciplined.
Yeah.
They wholeheartedly, their main focus is be awesome at what you do. And if I truly believe that I'm going to be a baseball player, as in that culture, I'm going to do everything I can to be absolutely the best that I can be. And the amount of discipline that they instill is going to create a huge gap between American baseball and Japanese baseball. It's going to be shocking.
I believe it. I mean, we're already seeing it.
Yeah.
Shohei's
There's going
the
to be
man.
some guys that are just unbelievable. Yeah. And that's the perfect scenario. They've got a guy who they are all looking at like, I want to be just like that. And you're not all going to be 6'4", 220 who have that capacity, but there's going to be a crap ton of people that American colleges going to get flooded with Japanese players that can ball. And I don't say that is that they're not good. I'm talking about Ichiro. I mean, you're going to have some guys that can just flat out play. So, because they have a discipline that is unmatched. That is unsurpassed. It could be matched, but you're not going to be able to beat those guys in terms of the amount of discipline that they have.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Love it. Winding down here with some fun stuff. And I just opened my notebook from 144.1, 2014 here. And my lead-off note to open the book, I wrote down, live through your future. So that was written over a decade ago. So interesting, and loving that we're sitting down and having this conversation. So a couple day one notes that I'd love for you to explain here. So let me frame this with day one of, this is day one notes from the weight room. We had a day one, February Saturday. It was Gasparilla. It was Super Bowl weekend. I'm showing up on like the party of parties in Tampa. And 6 a.m., maybe 5 a.m., you pick me up from a hotel and we go.
Shut off.
We got our main one. We're good.
Okay.
6 a.m., pick me, or whatever time a.m., pick me up and we go to the water and you ask me, we go to the ocean. How's my open water swimming? Or can I swim? As simple as that. And I can't remember my reply, but it was probably some wisecrack in framing of, no, sure. What is swimming? But yeah, we did some workout in the sand, and I remember a lot of lunge jumps. I was dominating this. We're hanging from a swing set, and I'm like, oh baby, this is easy.
Playground.
Yes, and then part two.
That was just the warm up.
And I remember we had to swim out to a point, and then you redirected and reframed it to where we were now, instead of swimming out to a point, we were swimming in parallel. And I was in survival mode. Yeah. And you were just walking next to me, asking me. We were concerned. We were concerned. Just asking me to sing the Star Spangled Banner as I was basically in the ocean's kiddie pool in survival for what felt like 5 miles. It was probably
It's like a
50
quarter mile.
meters.
Yeah, it was very short. Very short. But why did we get you to sing?
I don't know. Take
Because
my
it-
mind off dying.
Yeah, it distracts you 100%. It's always funny when you look at little things like that is you're you become primal. You go back to that lizard brain and you go into survival, and that's all you can think about is, am I going to die? Well, now all of a sudden, let's distract you. Let's think about something else. What are the next words? It's cold. That was a huge thing. Was, can I look past all of these things? Now, if you weren't doing this immersive educational experience, um, should we have dropped you in the middle of a cold ass ocean? Absolutely not, because that's just a recipe for disaster. But we had a couple of rescue swimmers, so you were fine. Yeah, we didn't fear like you were going to get sucked out into the ocean. We might have had to resuscitate you. You could have probably taken a little bit more crab larvae into every swallow of water that you were doing, but anything that we could do as an opportunity to teach you to calm yourself. And sometimes it doesn't work, rarely. And most people, it doesn't work. But we wanted you to understand of what, especially within the community of our tip of the spear guys, and getting through that pipeline of what they were experiencing or what they were going to experience, the guys who were prepping to go into the pipeline. And so it's always an interesting thing because we started this conversation with, oh wow, I can do that. I can run full speed. I can, do those things that I'm watching on TV. Well, you can't. It's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different world. Um, it's easy to say you can swim, but when you have waves smashing you in the face, when it's cold, when you've preceded it with a little bit of muscular fatigue, when you're worried about sharks,
Big time.
when you're worried about man of war. We had this huge thing of man of war come up recently, so there's man of war
Well,
out there.
I'm not going swimming anymore.
Yeah, you are. And then there's for some reason, the bull sharks are really active right now. Nobody knows why. And the stingrays are now starting to come back because the hurricane, when that hurricane comes in, it rips like all the sea life out of there. So a lot of the things, just the big fish, they all just get displaced because um, if anybody who's ever been around the coastal areas during a hurricane, it's amazing because for miles the water goes away, it disappears. So you can walk out on the sand. So like at Bayshore, they had to constantly tell people to get out of there because you could walk. So you could jump over, or you can walk down those steps, and there's no water. It's just sand. And because all the water's gone.
Right.
And it's about to make this aggressive push back in, and people go, oh, wow, I can walk out. Well, it's going to come back. So you got to be careful. But the problem is it's taking all that sea life with it. So a year later, after those two hurricanes devastated us, so now we're starting to get an influx of all those animals who are like, hey, maybe it's safe to come back for next hurricane season.
I missed my window.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. There'll be plenty of windows.
All right. So then day one, my leadoff note here, efficiency.
Water versus the field.
Yes.
That was day one, lesson one.
That was huge. That was a big moment for us when we started to do University of Tampa swimming, because I was always one of those guys that just move your arms faster, kick harder. And it isn't until you start to prep guys who are trying to shave hundredths of a second off that you start to understand the difference between form closure and force closure. Where if I'm trying to produce more force, and if 10 extra pounds of force, even though I'm getting 10 pounds of extra force, it's creating 10 extra pounds of drag, then that's something that I need to not do because it's a net zero gain. I need to try to develop an athlete who is developing as much efficiency as they are strength and power. And that was a foreign concept to me. Um, I, as an athlete, I always, in martial arts, it was always there where you try to do, can I hit somebody before they react to me swinging? So that would be an efficient move. If I bring my hand back and I'm telegraphing that, then they know it's coming. Who cares how hard it is? Because they could easily block it or slip it or duck it. Um, but I never took that into the rest of my training. It was just Mongo smash, lift heavier, get stronger, pump my arms more aggressively. But when I got into swimming, the light bulb clicked and it allowed this portion of the jigsaw puzzle to be brought over that it was, to me, it was a completely separate thing. And so the more I did that, I started to go, well, it should also be that way for my field athletes, because in the end, if I can get an athlete to run a 4-4, awesome. But what if he can't run a 4-4 in quarters 2, 3, and 4? So then I said, let's start to develop a little bit more of an efficiency standpoint. So now I've got a very reliable wide receiver who can run a 4-4, run a 4-4, run a 4-4, run a 4-4.
I love it. And then the key word here, I said that water, immediate feedback for the efficiency of movement.
Absolutely, because the density, 800 times more dense than water, it'll let you know, hey, something's not in the right spot. This is not where it's supposed to be, and it'll catch you. For you, we're sitting there, we're trying to teach you how to swim. Not that you couldn't swim, but teaching you how to swim more efficiently. So we're here and we're doing great and we're flowing through the water, but then all of a sudden we get tired, so we go to this. So now all of a sudden
was
we're
more
going,
like
we're
this.
going awesome, awesome, awesome. And then you're like, now I have to expend 10 times more energy just to try to get horizontal and then start driving it again. So part of it is just literally saying, listen, stay here, stay here, stay here, stay here.
Yeah.
Don't
Love
lift your head. And that's the first thing that goes. Like everybody wants to go. My primal instinct is versus. And then if you just turn your head, you can maintain that forward.
That's such an interesting word. And then 2 big notes here. Teach right kinetic alignment, then challenging the ability to protect it, which then you were mentioning today, through frequency and modes.
Yes.
And then 2, increase efficiency.
So I started to look at, in college, I started to look at if I was in the right position, to circle back around with what we talked about is, okay, what makes a squat beneficial to my sport? What makes it clean? I started to literally question everything when my athletes failed, when they did great in the weight room and failed on the field. And then I started to look at, okay, really, let's break down running. And so when I watch people, all of a sudden, is their center mass sagging? Are they not maintaining a floating hip? Do you see the head bobbing up and down? And so I go, wow, that person squats 600 pounds, but this is how they're running, or this is how they're running. And so I started to say, well, really, what is the purpose behind what we're trying to do? And in the end, is I am trying to display skill, the feed forward and feedback mechanism that occurs from the spinal column to the muscles. Your body is literally going, this is what throwing a baseball should look like. This is what swinging a bat or squeezing the trigger or whatever it is. Then you take external factors, you take field conditions, you take environmental conditions, you take opponents, and now your body is fighting to hold that position. And that was the part that I had never done, was we're missing that. We're missing the fight to protect. And so then I started to look at, we would do these crazy things like, hey, let's put 600 pounds on the bar, unrack it, and then slowly squat down. And then I go, wow, that's really dangerous. And so then we started to change some things and saying, hey, well, what if we take this one component? Let's go attack the IT band. Let's go attack the adductors. Let's go get the hamstrings. and then we can do some strong eccentric work, because in textbooks it's always if I'm doing a bicep curl, lowering my arm is eccentric. And in my head, I started to look at that and go, that's not eccentric. That's just lowering your arm. When it comes to protecting a position, I want to brace that and I want to hold that, but something is keeping me from doing it. It is a force that I can't overcome. And so the more responsive that system got, the better I can protect posture and positioning. And if I can do that, then I can stay within a range that I can display skill better. And to me, that was a huge light bulb for me. I go, crap, we've been doing everything wrong. 300-pound bench press is great, but if I can't hold a posture or a positioning, then I'm screwed. So then we started to just revamp everything. How can I get this to protect posture and positioning through accentuating eccentric work?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really from there that allowed, the further that something displaced away from ideal, the greater cost of energy it was going to be. And so for me, I said, I want to be more efficient. So if I can right, quote unquote, the wrong quicker, I can create a more efficient athlete.
Mm-hmm. And then where my mind is, and how I'm now viewing this and reflecting on a whole career that's built off this experience, this is your mindset for then writing the programming and then creating your expectation of execution. And then my day 2 notes, this is now coaching. It's leading the athlete to then align with your expectation and get your execution down. So this is where day 2, the pipe pledge came into play for the athlete, the coach. And I remember signing the athlete contract, and the note here is communication gets lost in intent. So that's a whole different challenge, and for coaches to learn is, yes, this is the program that I want. However, I need it expressed. And then this is the art of coaching.
The art of coaching to me is, can I get my athlete to be in a better position to receive a message? And I think that the majority of us, including myself, we fail at this so often. I have to take a step back and go, why isn't this person understanding what I'm saying? And sometimes it really boils down to, are they distracted? Are they staring over there? Are they staring at the TV? Is this guy looking at the cute girl across the gym? Is this girl looking over here? Are they trying? It happens all the time in this facility because they're looking at hitting.
Mm-hmm.
So they're baseball players. They want to hit. They want to pitch. So I'm over here trying to teach them how to do Job's exercises, and they're like, "Oh, who's over there hitting swamp donkeys?" And I'm like, "Dude, I need you to stay focused here, because that will get a little bit better pull so that we can get a better scap load so you can go over there and hit swamp donkeys." And they go, "Oh, okay." So just getting them to be in a better position to receive a message.
Yeah. I love it. What I do want to end on is just painting this picture of a day in the life. And I did an Instagram post. And again, I was all in. I don't know how I had all this energy, but here we go. So this is day in the life with Raph. 5 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. Show up and set up. Decipher code. And I took a picture of our workout today that we did. I'll B-roll it in there. So people try to read that handwriting. 5:30 to 8:30 a.m. We had 2 separate groups, 90 minutes each. So it was train with one group, coach up the other. And sometimes it start with training, sometimes it start with coaching. Then we transition, depending on the day. We'd swim, drown proof, parking garage sprints. I think that was Tuesday, Thursdays with the selection dudes, or Filipino stick fighting. I'll throw some more B-roll in there.
Oh, yeah. Some Muay Thai, something. Some knife training.
That is correct. I don't have any film of that. I took some misses, I recall. I don't know if those were intentional.
No, the intentional
Some straight,
for you, me?
Yeah,
Oh, I try to hit you.
Yeah, straight kicks. I guess that's me. Maybe I dropped my guard. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll take responsibility. And then from one of those awesome days we get smoothies. So cheers to extreme juice. Still going strong. Then we had classroom time.
Mm-hmm.
So the beautiful mind and just painting these pictures, and I got some great drawings and my interpretations. My biggest regret is not recording, like audio recording of these lectures, because the notes that I took were the notes that I was able and willing to receive at that moment in my career.
That's exactly it. So
I
it means
wonder-
something different when you
Yeah.
got it. Absolutely.
What is it 10 years later that now I've ingested this stuff, but what was there that I was not yet ready to absorb?
You know, I had a coach, a very well-respected coach, and I didn't know this. He had come to one of my seminars, and probably 10, 15 years later, I saw him again, and he goes, "Hey, Raph, I need to talk to you." And so afterwards, I went and talked to him, and he gave me a big old hug, and he goes, "I was an asshole to you." And I was like, and I had never gotten it. Like, I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, when I first listened to you talk, he goes, "You attacked everything that I believed in." And he goes, and I shut it all out. He goes, "I didn't listen to it." He goes, "In my mind," he goes, "I called you every name in the book." And he goes, 15 years later, he goes, "You were right." And he goes, I go back and I listen to, he goes, "I watch your old videos." And he goes, "There's so much there that," he goes, "I wasn't ready to hear." And I was just like, and we had like, we were in the lobby and we had like this emotion. And I was like, wow, it hit me just as hard as it hit him, because that circles back to what we just talked about, not just the athletes, but he wasn't ready to hear. And maybe I failed because maybe I punched him in the gut and be like, "Hey, don't do heavy deadlifts." And he was just like, "Oh, screw you. I love heavy deadlifts." And so maybe the way I presented that information wasn't the best for that audience.
Yeah.
So
Wish I had it, but book's coming out soon, right? So then we'd go and transition out to the high school in St. Pete, and then just sweat it out with the guys. Just get covered in rust, mud,
and sweat.
It's a great time. I have no pictures from that experience. I got some of the field, but not the weight room.
Yeah.
I'm mad at myself for that.
Yeah.
Then we had the club volleyball girls.
Oh, that was the best.
And still to this day, I feel the most difficult population to work with is the high school female. Yeah, there was just one day, one of the girls, I can't recall her name, she's just giving me these heavy sighs. I'm like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And then she just went through the whole list of her day of all these troubles: boys, school, parents, sports, pressures. And I'm like, okay, I need to go decompress from this heavy lift of your emotions that I just did. Now pick that up.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's weird because some of those girls have never touched a weight, and they don't know that physical discomfort, and that's all. You know, I spend a lot of time teaching young athletes, and a lot of people will call me crazy, but I have, like, for Raiders age, leading up to this point, I'll have him set the safeties, right at nipple height, and we've been putting crap tons of weight on the bar, and he fought me tooth and nail because it hurts.
Yeah.
You're wearing a significant amount, even just an empty bar, on his traps, on his brachial plexus. And I mean, there are times when I look like that parent, like he's crying. I'm over there trying to ease him, trying to coach him, that I'm yelling, and then it just turns into ugly. But by the time he got to last year, I mean, he would have 300 pounds on a bar and just stand there. You're not squatting it. You're not doing anything. I just want you to stand there, and I want you to show me the most confident posture you can. And it took that's a long, slow growth. But now he was just like, and then his demeanor, his face changed. And I'm like, it works. But that takes so long, and especially with female athletes, they just don't want to put that heavy bar on their back. It just, and I tell them, down the road, you're going to want to put a heavy bar on your back, and you're going to want to squat. You're going to want to clean. You're going to want to do lunges for whatever reason, but we got to do this now because you won't have that option if you don't take care of this now.
Yeah.
And so then they decide to do it. So
yeah, and it was cool to see, even in that short period of time, the growth from dumbbell to barbell, if you will.
Yep.
And it was cool because we were intra practice. You had all these different clubs practicing, teams, different age groups practicing. Then they would come to the accelerated skill acquisition and then go back to practice. And then within the footwork and the jumps and the rotations, like I was able to see the expectations of the coach, because I'm not a volleyball guy. Steph can attest to that. And now I was able to see, like, oh, we're piecing a lot of this together over here.
Absolutely. And especially when it comes to female athletes, we haven't solved that problem yet. We have, as a whole, there are still so many female athletes that are blowing ACLs that I really wish that the stigma of weight training would just go away. Like, to this day, I still, the same amount of fight, the same level of fight of parents that come in and say, I want my kid to run faster, jump higher. They're playing high school, they're playing middle school. There's all of these knee injuries, but I don't want them to touch weights. And I'm just like, oh, I go, but you ask, why don't you? And then they spout off all of these just fallacies, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how much that fight is still fought right now.
Yeah. And then lastly here, Saturdays, surf and turf.
Surf and turfs.
I will say my swimming has dramatically improved over that course of period of time.
It did.
And
100%.
there was one moment where we were going around some part of the bay and you spotted a shark and you just floated to the back of the caboose of the train that we were running. And then, I don't know, you didn't tell me about it until we were just safe eating donuts.
Yeah, somebody
And
else.
I'm like, well, I would have.
I'm trying to remember who it was with us, because it was somebody right behind me. I'm trying to remember if it was John or not, but I remember saying, hey, there's a fin, and he knew exactly. And I said, take the guys in, I'll take the rear to make sure it doesn't come up from behind us. And I remember sitting there the whole time, and it was cold water, and I remember sitting there like, God, just, if you're gonna eat me now. Like, don't make me finish. Don't make me go through miles of swimming and not finish me. Like, do it right now in the beginning. Just end it. That was funny.
Yeah. And I was just happy-go-lucky fighting with the water. And the water was fighting back. And then,
But that's the thing. It's splashing. That's what generates the interest of the fish.
oh, well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of splashing.
When you start splashing. So I'm like, it's one of those funny things is when we're in the water, I don't remember what it was. I think it was a manatee was in the water. And I remember it was coming up on Steph. And I remember going, okay, what do I do? If I tell her, she's going to freak. If I don't tell her, she's going to freak. So I was like, hey, Steph, don't freak out. She was like, what is it? And I go, oh, and then she freaked out, but it ended up being a I was like, it's a manatee. Just calm down, but it's right behind you. And she's like, I remember having that argument to this day, like, should I not say anything? Should I say anything? Because if it's a shark and you splash, it's like one of those things where people go, hey, the dog can sense fear, so don't be afraid. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
I'm glad you didn't tell me. I would have freaked out and splashed harder.
That's the problem. It's, do you start splashing harder? And the issue is, you look at the mannerisms of the shark. Is it darty? Does it have his fins down? Are they up? Is he making very dramatic turns, or is he just kind of smoothly cruising? And he was smoothly cruising. And so I kind of assessed that, and I go, he's not darting yet. If he's darting, I would have pulled you guys out. It would have been like, hey, this is over. Let's get inside. But he seemed to be just like, hey, what's going on over here? So
I need to take a breath. Calm down. Well, dude, uh, there's almost too much to cover. I just wanted to highlight some fun things and then introduce lessons that I was still thinking through as I'm coaching. And this is something I'll never give up. My career started sport and strength, and then still keeping with that within lacrosse, just seeing the connections, just valuing a lot of the time that I spent with you and just seeing the skill acquisition. And I can't give up the strategy of sport. I love it so much. That handoff when I wasn't coaching lacrosse, it always killed me.
yeah,
So now I'm in the action and allowed to coach the strategy, the strength, and be in the full circle of leadership where we are diving into the psychology of discomfort. We're building that team. And now I'm putting it to the ultimate stress and reminding them of the lessons that we taught during the training.
it's hard. The psychology of discomfort is probably one of the most difficult things for a coach to really dial in, because it's such a dance between the coach and the athlete, and that's the hardest part. Like, for instance, when you watch the guys today and they're doing the cleans, and he wasn't getting it. He was just like, he was here. He also, a Raiders partner, he also is very fearful of failure. So when he can't do something, you can tell he immediately goes from, I'm writing an A to now I'm C level. I'm just going to go average because now I'm in self-preservation mode. And what I've learned over the years is sometimes you get athletes that when they start overcomplicating things, you go from a generalized learning application to an endpoint learning application, where you just say, this is what the end should look like. You figure it out. And in that instance, he can drop that fear of failure, because he is an amazing front squatter. He has an amazing rack, great hip mobility, elbows are nice and high. And I said, listen, don't care how you get there, but get to that position. And he did it. And it was just like, you can tell there was an immediate flip of his switch. He stopped thinking about A, B, C, D. He just go to Z. Figure out how to get to Z, but you get to Z as powerful as you possibly can. And next thing you know, bam, he catches it and it looks great. It looks like he had never struggled with it ever. And so just being able to get that psychology of discomfort and understanding, it's not a physical discomfort for him. It was all emotional. It's like, oh my God, all these cute girls are staring at me. Raph is in front of me yelling at me. And this new guy, Chris, is over here. We're all watching. We're judging. We're watching. We're judging.
Cleaning 215.
215. I'm over here lifting, a Mack truck weight over here. And so for him, it was all emotional. And so being able to just to shed that away from him and give him a chance to be successful just physically. So,
and then reinforcing the lesson, reminding him, closing that feedback loop for him, which is great.
Yep.
Cool. Well, dude, thank you as always.
Appreciate
my aim, I'm going to come out here once a year, just forever, continue to hang with the fam,
Absolutely.
just catch up and just make some magic happen, man.
But don't schedule it where you're missing surf and turf. That's not you act like that's a thing. It's like, oh, well,
in my defense, Coach Mitchell was like, hey, our window's Tuesday. That's it. So then I made it happen.
No excuse. No excuse.
Okay, I'll do some laps before the plane takes off. I
Appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Love you, man. So grateful. We're good. All right, keep it up. See.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Captains and Coaches podcast. This is an interview I'll aim to hold once a year, continue to go back, deep dive into the notebook and unlock those lessons, because there is so much to learn from this man. I encourage you to give him a follow on Instagram. It's raph.athleteasap. Amazing account where he unlocks his skill acquisition knowledge and breaks it into these great movements and steps for you. If you want to continue to learn, I encourage you to sign up for our Captains and Coaches newsletter. Each podcast that comes out, I take and highlight lessons and how I'm going to apply them in my sports practice the next week. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, and review to the podcast. That does do a lot of work, and I appreciate you listening. Until next time, and thank you for helping us raise the game. Bye.